Alright, this morning we're going to look at how to read and save SQL server logs. And in this example, we're going to be looking at the SQL server logs, like where they're at, how to get the information that we need. Generally speaking, I only want to look at the current. And then the other thing too as well is when it comes to saving, just a good practice to do, especially if you're a senior database administrator and you have a junior database administrator, unless you want to be hammered to death when you're on vacation, would be to save a record of some of the more, let's say, common errors that might happen and then your solutions for them. And it's a good example of, I'll go ahead and save the text because that's what they're gonna see, a derivative of that text, and then I'll save it to a table, and then I'll put the solution, and I'll say this is usually the solution or whatnot, even if that solution is like TSQL. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that. The first thing to note is under management here, you'll see that we have these SQL server logs, right? And we have current, we have archive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And so I'm executing this SP read error log, which is a stored procedure, which allows, built-in stored procedure that is, that allows me to look at this information. Now, if you wanted to save the output on GitHub under admin tools and troubleshooting, of course, I have a script that does that. And if you want, you can use that script or whatnot. To note about this as well, if I wanted to look at the 6th archive, what I would do is I would change 0 here to 6, okay? And I know that it's like, well, but this says 618 and this says 611. Well, it's based on how the data are ordered. So if we look, we say, oh, okay, there we go. And so we see that we have the date, we have the process info, and then, of course, we also have the text. So this is a test server, so we don't have a lot of information, which is good, actually. It would be bad if it was the other way around. So if we want to filter text, okay, what we can do is we can add another parameter here, let's say SQL at the end. And this is optional. This does not have to be something that you want to include. And you'll see that it will return only information related to SQL. Let's do that on current. We see we only get 16 rows of data. Okay. As far as the second parameter, if you are to put in a parameter, whether that's 1 or there's 2, now of course I don't have SQL agent on this because this is Express. 2 will produce the output for SQL agent, so you'll get the log for SQL agent. 1 is going to put out the error log, so which is what I want to look at. But let's suppose you wanted to read the SQL agent log, you could do 2 instead of 1 here. Okay. So, and then finally, if you want, there is another parameter, and one of the ways in which you can look at the parameters, if you're confused, is SP error log. I'm sorry, read error log. And then you'll see P1 end, P2, P4, and then of course P4. So these two, the P3 and P4, technically are, not technically, but they allow varchars, which you can use to filter text. Usually, in most cases, 1 will do the trick, but if you need another one, that's perfectly fine. So, and then of course, if you want to save the output, like I said, there is some code on my GitHub admin tools troubleshooting on saving that output. So that's how you can read and save SQL Server error logs. And like I said, the more common issues with the more quick fixes, I would go ahead and keep records of those so that if you have junior DBAs when you're gone, they can go ahead and fix the problem without you getting hammered to death